Iran's leaders are projecting strength. The Islamic Republic remains firmly in power, backed by powerful security forces and an extensive surveillance apparatus. But how stable is the regime long term? And are pressures building among the population?
The government knows it's in trouble and it is trying to control its society. It fears its society.
That's Dr. Neda Bolourchi, a historian and former human rights lawyer at Rutgers University in the United States, specializing in Iran and the Middle East. If she's right, it raises a fundamental question. Does Iran just look powerful from the outside? Is growing reliance on surveillance and control reflecting something else entirely? Fear. Who is really running Iran today?
I think it is kind of the system. There is nominally, at least rhetorically, the new leader is supposed to be the face. The leaders generally, and particularly for a new one, have to, even though they're decided as the leader, they still have a very large constituency that they have to work with, right? So if you look at Ali Khamenei when he was first made leader, first of all, they had to change the constitution. He wasn't religiously actually a high-ranking cleric. He wasn't even an ayatollah. So he had to actually work to build consensus to become the person that everyone thinks of as the supreme leader. One of the reasons, I think I was one of the only people who said that when Ali Khamenei dies, we will still have a supreme leader, because the IRGC already controls so much.
To understand the regime, we have to look at the massive shift that occurred at the very top. Following military operations that eliminated multiple tiers of the old guard leadership, Ali Khamenei was succeeded by his son Mojtaba Khamenei. Some analysts predicted a crisis within the regime, but the transition appears to have been smooth.
I thoroughly believe, 2-3 tiers of the Islamic Republic's leaders have been taken out by military operations, and those who are left, for the most part, I believe, are less savvy and less flexible domestically. To be honest, it's going to be increasingly difficult to pick out sort of new pressure points or new leaders, military leaders, intellectual leaders, religious leaders, because they're all now within this system and easily hide behind the notion of the Revolutionary Guard.
All right, so the supreme leader remains the public face of the regime, and real power increasingly appears to rest with institutions that shape political, economic, and security policy. So what's emerging is a picture of a system that has become a great deal larger than any one leader. But if the balance of power has shifted, what does that mean for ordinary Iranians?
People don't have jobs. They don't have over a million jobs have been lost. Executions have proceeded. Intimidation has occurred. So the response to that has very much been self-censorship and fear of and hopelessness of what to do, in the sense of, can I try to get a job, keep a job, go to school? Is a member of my family hurt?
One word comes up repeatedly when describing life inside Iran today: exhaustion.
Economic exhaustion, psychological exhaustion, political exhaustion, digital exhaustion. Every part of life requires calculation. So what, from basic questions of what can I wear? What can I post? Do I have access to the internet? What can I say? Can I travel? And then, the very big questions of, is my family safe? It's really just such an exhaustion that touches on every component of life, because the government has now really interjected itself and into every moment of life that it possibly can. At least the moments that are online or those that are visible. And that's a lot.
According to Dr. Bolourchi, this total exhaustion isn't accidental, it's engineered. In recent years, the regime has increasingly been using technology to assert control over the people of Iran. Along with blocking the internet, state surveillance in ordinary life has reached new heights.
So since the Mahsa Amini and the Woman Life Freedom movement, women would, or actually men as well, who were in violation of dress codes and the Islamic hijab would get texts that said, "We have a picture of you on such and such place at such and such." It's the same way that we get speeding tickets in America. They have been getting for a number of years these violations via text message, and so the use of technology has not been a hidden fact. The fact that it is now deeper, stronger, and formalized into these more intimate corners of people's daily life, I think is what's different. And yes, it is much more clear.
So if surveillance and technology is becoming more sophisticated and deeply embedded in the lives of Iranians, where does that leave resistance to the system? Can civil society still organise themselves and challenge the state?
The ability and capability of civil society and their exhaustion gets weighed with the fact that there are organizations outside, particularly in the United States, who are moving to develop technologies and get help to share that technology with Iranians to ensure or try to provide international, again, World Wide Web access, but also platforms that allow for distribution inside of Iran, so that civil society can continue to organize and protest. I do not, however, see immediately that happening. One, just the sheer shock of the massacre that happened in January. Even if you don't believe, and the high numbers are remain unresolved, but there is still the visual image of blood literally running in the streets. So I don't think that is going anywhere.
When the conflict between the US and Iran began to escalate, it was initially accompanied by international calls for regime change. However, these hopes have been tempered.
There are multiple negatives for the Iranian people coming out of this war, despite the fact that a segment inside of Iran believed that it would actually were very hopeful for political transformation as a result, as well as people outside. So one of the negatives, obviously, is that transformation didn't happen, and also the people feel completely betrayed. And then the third thing is now that they're in this place where they are, in essence, left to have to live under, continue to live under the Islamic Republic. Where does things go from here?
From outside Iran, it appears the security institutions and surveillance networks are solid. So where do the vulnerabilities of the Islamic Republic lie?
And so when you have a society that's just changed so dramatically over a generation, and even within a generation, the political system knows it's in danger. And that's why these controls have increased since February and January. The government knows it's in trouble, and it is trying to control its society. It fears its society. These protests that we've seen over the last 3-4 years have been some of the largest ones ever. And so Iran is a young, educated, technologically connected society. And so while the state is relying on coercion and surveillance and executions and internet control and legal restrictions to maintain order, I would just, emphasize again that the Iranian people are resilient. They continue to surprise, inspire, I think, the world.
And that may be the defining paradox of modern Iran, a regime that looks powerful on the outside, yet increasingly fearful of the society it governs. The tighter the control becomes, the more they may reveal a leadership that knows it faces a younger, better connected, and increasingly restless population. Do you still have hope for the people of Iran, or is the bleak picture within the country not going to change anytime soon? I'm Pablo Folilius. I'll see you soon.